Welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. This is Breakfast Central. Remember, you can interact with us on social media. We are New Central TV on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well. And remember, the website is newscentral.africa. You want to make sure you engage with us. We're continuing our conversation around 16 days of activism and the eradication of sexual and gender-based violence, specifically towards women. Now, being a victim of gender-based violence is an extremely traumatizing experience, and the emotional scars associated with it can often outlast the physical impact. So survivors of GBV are at a high risk of developing post-traumatic stress disorder and amongst many other side effects, and some opt towards substance abuse or encounter other stress-related mental health conditions. Speaking with a trained therapist or trauma specialist can help survivors to learn ways of dealing with the residual emotional impact and anxiety, which is an essential part of healing. So I'm excited to be joined by Bukola Liamed, who's the founder of Safety Republic International, a safe haven for women, and she's going to help us discuss mental issues affecting women after such a traumatic experience. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the safe haven and the work that you do there. What are the services available?
Okay, so we noticed that in this part of the world, we realize that we have this kind of stigmatization among the people who are sexually abused or going through violence or anything that is gender-based. So we looked inward and said, okay, as professionals and experts, what can we do to help those people? Because they need to heal. If they don't heal, I mean, abuse is like a circle. If you don't heal from an abuse, it goes to another person. It's that you abuse yourself again or you abuse someone else. So it goes on and on like that. So if you abuse another person, that person will abuse another person. So you need to come to a place where you can heal. But because of the narrative that we have in this part of the world, that everybody should just keep quiet, no, forgive and forget, it will go away, it's one of those things. So it makes a lot of people not to really talk. But there's something about abuse and all those things that happens to women. It's called the repressed emotion. And if you repress your emotion, it will come bouncing back at you when you least expected it. So that's why you realize some people can just stab their spouse or just run on suicide or fall into depression. Those things, when it's too much in the system, it controls how we behave, and it controls everything in our system. So that's why we always tell people, you need to express yourself. You need to find someone, find a support system who you can, express yourself to. There's a line that says a problem shared is half solved. It's very, very true, because there are some times where we're in session with women and all they needed is just somebody to listen to them. And once they are done, they just say, thank you. And you just wonder, we've not even started the session. Say, no, that's all they need. So they need an environment where we don't have judgment or being biased. And that is how experts and professionals come in. And that is how Safety Republic comes in as well. So most times they're just listening ears to these women. They just want to hear how they're feeling. They don't want to be, judged and said you caused it. They just want, to express how they are feeling then. And that's the beginning of therapy. That's the beginning of healing for them.
I love that you're talking about the beginning of therapy, the beginning of healing. So the first step for a survivor, I rather say, is expressing themselves. What follows after that? Because you might find that although, somebody has expressed themselves, there's still so many underlying things that they themselves may not even understand are happening within them. So what are some of the following steps in dealing with an individual who's been through this type of trauma?
Okay, so when we start with them trying to express themselves, because like I told you, there's this narrative around here. People are not really free to express themselves. So maybe by the first or second session, they don't really come out. So by the time they see that you're not biased, you're not judgmental, maybe by the third session, they now start talking about the deeper issues, because a lot of people find it difficult to share their innermost feelings with people. So when they say that, oh, okay, this person is ready to listen, then they start. So what I mean by is the beginning of therapy session is they have to gain our trust. They have to know that, oh, this person is not someone who is ready to screenshot my issues and, blow it open or make it like a topic for other people. Make it a gist, So we come in purely professional. So the steps now comes from, we can do what we call CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. We try to unlearn some certain narratives that they are formed around what has been traumatizing them, because it starts from them. The pain is already about the person who put the pain on them. It's about them. And the forgiveness is more of them than the person who traumatized them. So we bring them to a point where they need to forgive themselves. So that is a therapy session. And it's a process. It's a process for some people that can take 3 days, and some people can take 10 years. So there are steps that we take, because you see, we realize that most of those things that happens to women, especially, it comes from childhood experiences. We call it acute childhood experiences. Everything that we are as an adult is a result of who we were as a child. So all the belief, all the pain that has been interpreted in that trauma comes from how they view their world in the first place. And the first thing that strips them off is their self-esteem. You realize that a lot of women who are traumatized, who are going through abuse, doesn't have self-esteem. They lose their self-confidence, and they cannot really express themselves in public. Those are the things that we notice. So
it's almost
we try
like that
to
cycle continue.
So we try, and if they have children or they have people around them, they project this on everyone around them. So you just realize that even they might be too overprotective of their children, or they might just allow their children to just be by themselves because they are trying to heal. So that's why we say abuse is a circle. If it doesn't affect you, it affects people around you. So it is what you put out that people take. So you need to take care of what is happening in your mind. So that's the work of therapists. We try to, as much as possible, manage what comes in and goes out of the mind.
And what about those instances, as you've referred to somebody who may have experienced this abuse, for the first time, at those early childhood formative years, and who maybe doesn't understand that their adult behavior is rooted in that incident. How do we go about, because I think that's something that probably a family or close friends can identify in a person. How do we go about approaching our sisters and our mothers, or the women in our lives, and possibly recommending that I feel that there may be something more rooted in what you're going through? Please go and speak to someone, because of course there's so many cultural, religious barriers in that conversation itself. So, just for somebody sitting at home who notices that there's something, not right about this behavior, and may even know about the person's background or childhood years, but, doesn't want to be offensive, doesn't want to seem, intrusive. How does that, I believe it's an intervention conversation.
Yeah.
How do we go about that?
Okay, so for someone who is being traumatized or who has been abused, we usually believe that the person has to be willing. So there's this thing about, you have to come. You cannot enforce healing on people. People need to realize that, at this point, I can't take it anymore. So most times, that is the point where people need to get to before we come in, because it helps the process. Because if you're trying to enforce healing on someone and the person doesn't even see the need, that there's,
so even
there's
if the
nothing
person
wrong.
doesn't understand what they're going through, because I have a case like that, in my family, where the person didn't understand what they're going through, and it's only later on that we realize that, but this person was raped from a young, at a very young age. So how do we encourage those people to get to the point where they're conscious that I need help? Okay,
so we talk about belief system and narrative. Like you said, some people don't even know that they're going through issues. So we do we create a lot of awareness around women's emotional well-being. Because a lot of people even believe that pain is part of, need to, just, even though you need pain to reawaken yourself. Pain is the process,
it can't be a lifestyle.
But you can't be a lifestyle. So we have to differentiate and say, okay, you need to go through pain, but it's a process. It's not a lifestyle. So we create awareness around women and all that. In fact, by this weekend, we are putting a program together called Mental Health Retreat for Women. So what we are going to do basically in that retreat is to just bring them into self-awareness. Who am I? Because in trying to help other people, a lot of women lose themselves and they forget themselves. And if you lose yourself, you forget yourself, it's part of what traumatizes women. Because naturally, as human, if you're a woman, you are in three folds. You are a woman, you're a wife and mother. But in this part of the world, they try to remove the womanhood out of our existence. So they place wifely roles and motherly roles on our table. And if you have not discovered yourself as a woman, you cannot play the other two roles very well. That's why you see a lot of people losing themselves. That's why you see they attach so much importance in marriage and having children. And even though it's beautiful, those things are they are blessings, but they are not life achievements. So we try to differentiate it to that. Okay, even if you're not married, you're still fine. You still have to live. If you don't have children, you're still fine. You still have to live. So those are the things that brings healing to the mindset. So what we do is we try to unlearn, because as we grow up, we get a lot of things around the environment that teaches us who we want to be and who we want to become.
On that note, I'm so sorry I have to cut you short because I'm really enjoying this conversation, but our time is up. I just want to share the details. Can you share the details for Safety Republic for us, social media, so that women can engage with you, follow you, and hopefully be a part of your mental health retreat as well?
Thank you. So Safety Republic International is an organization that provides relatable solutions for emotional and mental wellness. So
what do you have social media pages?
Yes, the social media is Safety Republic NG.
Safety Republic NG. Okay,
yeah.
so we can get further information on that platform. Bukola, thank you so much. This has been incredible.